In this session, some evidences from other branches of sciences, nothing but anatomy, morphology, physiology, later some puzzle, embryology, hematology, so many other branches are supporting evolutions happen. So in that few we are discussing. Topic is evidences for evolution. So evidences from anatomical and morphological, anatomical and morphological evidences. Number 2, embryological evidences. Embryological evidences. Number 3, biochemical evidences. And number 4, paleontological evidences. Paleontological evidences are so important. They are regarding many branches are supporting as evolutions happen. We are discussing 4 according to the NCERT. Let us discuss the first one, that is how anatomical morphological departments of biology that are emphasizing evolutions happen. Anatomy. What is anatomy? Anatomy is a branch of biology that deals with internal organs. Suppose you see the heart, the fish, amphibian, reptile, and mammal. This is what higher vertebrates are evolved from fishes to mammals. Number of parts in fish, 1. Everywhere. In amphibians, 1. Reptiles, 1. Mammals, 1. So here not matter of the number of parts. Inside the heart of the fish, there was 2 chambers are present. 1 atria and 1 ventricle. So that is 2 chambered. Where it comes to the amphibians, upper 2 chambers and lower 1 chamber is there. So this is right atrium, this is left atrium, and single ventricle. So number of chambers here 2, here 3. 2 to 3, the number of chambers were upgraded. This is what the progression called evolution. Next, in the reptiles, upper 2 chambers that consistently happen and lower 1 chamber incompletely divided. So this is right atria, this is left atria, this is right ventricle, this is left ventricle, but incompletely divided. Incompletely divided ventricles. So here 2 and half. Understand? So 1, 2, 3, 4, but it is 3 and half incomplete. Whereas except crocodile. Except crocodile. In the reptiles, crocodile is exception in case of the heart. In crocodile, there will completely divided 4-chambered heart is present. So this anatomy is telling that slowly upgrading in a particular organ system. Later, when we see the mammals, or nothing but here mammals and apes together comes over there, birds and mammals. Here, right atria, left atria are completely divided as before. Now, right ventricle and left ventricle is completely divided. So septums are completed. So this is the 4-chambered heart. 4-chambered heart. So 2-chambered become 3, 3 become 3 and half, 3 and half become 4-chambered. This is a progression. This is one evidence from the anatomy to tell evolution has happened. If you see the another one, kidney. If you see the kidney, kidneys are generally protonephric kidneys in the invertebrata. From the invertebrata, vertebrata has arisen. In the vertebrata, lower vertebrates and higher vertebrates are there. In lower vertebrates, nothing but fishes, amphibians. Higher vertebrates, reptiles, apes, and mammals. Right. In fishes and amphibians, the kidney is mesonephric. Kidney is mesonephric. Whereas in the reptiles, apes, and mammals, kidney is metanephric. First, metanephric kidneys are found in reptiles. So, protonephric is the initial, and mesonephric is the middle, and metanephric is the highest in the development. So 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3 gradually. So like that, so many are there. In case of plants, if we observe algae, bryophyta, pteridophyta, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. See, if I compare the leaf, algae doesn't have a leaf. Generally, it consists of a body structure. Thallus is present. In the bryophyta, leaf-like structures were formed. They are amphibian plants. From water to terrestrial division, first they have come from the algae. Later, leaves were formed. In the gymnosperms and angiosperms, together leaves, but little venation started. So this is how leaves are adopted their characters according to the surroundings and the environmental changes and evolved. Even though if you see the flower, in algae flower is absent, in bryophyta flower is absent, in pteridophyta flower is absent. Instead of that, some cones were there. In gymnosperms, flowers are absent, but seeds present. And here in the angiosperms, flowers also present, seeds also present. So step by step, gradually changes occurs according to the changes happens in the environment and evaluate finding. If you see the more impact in the evidence from the flowering plants or non-flowering plants, whatever, homologous and analogous organisms we will discuss. Homologous and analogous organisms means here homologous, analogous. Homologous organisms are originally, structurally similar, but whereas functionally they are different. Functionally they are not similar. So organs that are originally structurally similar but functionally they are different, such organs are called homologous organs. Example for example here, if you think about some animals that wings of pentadactyl limb of mammal. For this, I can say limb, 4 limbs of monkey, whale, cheetah, horse, mule, and etc. or bat. So monkey, whale, cheetah, horse, mule, and bat. All these are mammals. But their forehand, suppose if you take this is the humerus, this is radius ulna, and these are carpals, metacarpals, phalanges. All these are same in monkey, whale, cheetah, horse, mule, and bat. But monkey used that particular structure that is originally structurally similar in all. That structure is used by monkey for hanging with the branches of trees, whereas in the whale for swimming, for cheetah and horse for hunting or running, and mule for digging, as well as bat for flying. So these all are originally structurally same about the particular structure, but the structure function is different. Why? They have adopted the same structure which is originally similar, but according to the changes they are living in the environment they used. Whale is living in the water. They cannot hang just like a monkey. They cannot run just like a cheetah or horse. It has to swim so that it becomes a flippers. Understand? So that organisms, even their structures are similar and origin is also similar, but they have adaptations of their own environment they can use accordingly. Let's see the analogous organisms. So originally and structurally different, functionally same. Functionally similar. Examples. Potato and sweet potato. Potato is a modification of root. Sweet potato is modification of root. Understand? So potato is modified from stem, shoot modification, and sweet potato is modification of root. But both are edible for carbohydrates, so that we are eating. Storage of food. So that potato and sweet potato. So both are originally structurally different. That is root, this is stem, but functionally same. Another example is from animal side. Eyes of octopus and cat or any mammal. Octopus is an invertebrate mollusca. It has eyes that are able to see the world, as well as cat eyes or any animal eyes or human eyes are also able to see the world. But structurally, originally they are different. And another example I can say here, wings of butterfly and bird. Butterfly is the arthropoda, bird is a vertebrate, but both wings are originally structurally different, but they help for flight. So in so many insects have a wings for flight, just like a bird, but bird wings are feathery, they are not. These insect wings are made up of chitin. So their made up is different, but their function is same. Why? Adaptations are taking place. So here homologous organs and analogous organs are evolved according to the adaptation. So simply they are adaptive radiation. Adaptive radiations, acquired characters taken place in their environment. So adaptive radiation. They have adapted and evolved. This is the example. For plants also, according to the NCERT, they have given examples like thorns and tendrils. Thorns and tendrils both are structurally similar but functionally different. So here I can give another example, that is thorns and tendrils. So thorns, tendrils both are structurally same, leaf modifications, but their function is different. Tendrils are for climbing, thorns are for protection. Understand? So homologous organs, example 1 from animals, example 2 from plants. Analogous organs, example 1 from plants and example 2 from animals. So this is how the anatomy and morphology department is telling their evidences. Evaluation has happened gradually. After first evidences from the morphology and anatomy, second evidences let us see from embryology. Second one is embryological evidences. What is embryology? Embryology is the history, phenomenon behind the birth. So birth is a very important, mainly for animals. The animal, if you take a vertebrate category, fishes, amphibians, reptiles, apes, and mammals. In all these, zygote should be there. From the zygote, morula should be there. From the morula, blastula is there. In case of fishes, all these three are there. Amphibians, all these three are there. In reptiles also, and in apes also. Whereas in the mammal, zygote will be there, morula will be there, and blastula will be replaced by blastocyst. Blastocyst. After that, in this, gastrula is there. From the gastrula, next embryo comes over there. So here blastocyst become implant and fetus develop. So some portion of the entire embryogenesis all are similar. Most important thing here, if you take the 1 week of embryo, maybe fish or amphibian, reptile or cave or mammal, whoever, in your hand, you cannot judge it is a future fish, it is a future mammal, or it's a future reptile like a snake, it's a future amphibian like a frog. By 1 week of embryo of any of this, we cannot judge the future or fate of the animal. Means what? Embryogenesis, some part of embryogenesis is similar for all. Later, according to their genes and genetical makeup, they are changing their phenotype of characters. So, Embryology explains evolution happened not only in animal, in case of plants also. So gymnosperms to pteridophytes to gymnosperms, gymnosperms to angiosperms, xylem phloem are developed. Vascular plants are pteridophytes. Later vascular with tubes, gymnosperms. Later advanced vascular tissue found in angiosperms. That's why gymnosperms and angiosperms have very tall ribs. Understand? So in any case, I'm just telling very few examples in the surface. In any case, some organ has been developed in the by the adaptations in the evolution is a point. So embryology is also telling evidence. Embryology is also telling that evolution has happened. Next, biochemical evidences. What is biochemical evidences? A cell, if you take the bacteria, prokaryote, from the prokaryotes, eukaryote has developed. But inside the prokaryotic cell, cytoplasm, all cell organelles are made up of same things, carbohydrates, proteins, and glycoproteins. And in eukaryotic also, cytoplasmic constituents are same. Another example I can give you. If you take the earthworm, inside that gastric juices will be present. Inside that pepsin will be there, trypsin will be there. Same kind of trypsin and trypsin is also there. So proteolytic enzymes or hemolytic enzymes or lipolytic enzymes all are same in every animal. Means how? So these are evoluted from as characters from one species to another species or from one kingdom to another kingdom. Understand? So that is what the biochemical evidence is. Another example I can give you the biochemical evidences just like a hemoglobin and myoglobin. All these proteins in an animal, every animal is same. Protein present in the muscle is myosin. The myosin fibrils are developed into the muscle contraction till in the mammals. So proteins, every protein or every carbohydrate constituents of the cell wall or cytoplasm or muscle or nerve, whatever, they are gradually developing to the advanced features. So gradually developing is called evolution. This is the evolution evidences from biochemical. The most important evidences that are direct evidences called fossils that are regarding paleontological evidences we have to see now. Paleontological evidences. Why paleontological evidences are more important than other branches of biology? Reason is fossils. Fossils, they are direct evidences. Direct evidences. For an instance, we used to see in the media or newspaper somewhere the dinosaur bones have been gained. So dinosaur bones are gained. This is about 200 million years back or 300 million years back. How we have to take? By carbon dating method. By carbon dating method and argon dating method, we can say age of rocks or bones, anything. This is called geological timescale. What was that? Geological timescale. Means we can say how old the earth was. On the earth, how many eras has happened. Each era has how many periods. Each period has how many epochs. Entire the age of earth with so many segments, we can say by carbon and argon dating. So age of earth is about 4 billion years ago. The earth consists of four eras, and each era consists of so many periods and epochs. Let us see how many eras are there on earth. In which era what has happened? In Proterozoic era. Proterozoic era is the first era. In this Proterozoic era, earth formed plus in that protozoans appeared. As protozoans appeared, it is called protozoan era. And second era is called Paleozoic era. Paleozoic era. Why it is called Paleozoic era? In this era, so many evidences by the fossils happened. That's why paleo means fossils. In this era, all these are eras. In this era, so many periods are there. If you see Cosmozoic period, Ordovician period, Silurian period, Devonian period, Cretaceous period, Permian period. So these are the 5 periods are there. So that is why the Cosmozoic era, before what was the Protozoic era. So this Protozoic era is also called pre-Cosmozoic era. In entire this Cosmozoic to Proterozoic era, plants and animals has evolved from eukaryotic. Plants just like bryophytes, algae first, next algae to bryophyta, bryophyta to pteridophyta, pteridophyta to gymnosperms evolved. In animals, from the protozoans to Pteridophyta, Coelenterata, Ctenophora, Platyhelminthes, Asclepias, Annelida, Arthropoda, next mollusca, Echinodermata. So, what is that? Invertebrata evolution happened. Later, the third era is the Mesozoic era. Mesozoic era. In this Mesozoic era, there were 3 periods are there. Cretaceous. So, this is Carboniferous. So, this is Cambrian. This is Cambrian. Pardon? This is the Cambrian, this is Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous and Permian. These are the periods involved in the Paleozoic era. Whereas in the Mesozoic era, Cosmozoic is not there here, that is a different. Whereas in the Mesozoic era, Cretaceous, Jurassic and Permian. These 3 are there. In the Mesozoic era, dinosaurs are evolved. So, dinosaurs are started in the Mesozoic era and the end of the Mesozoic era, all the dinosaurs are extinct. So, Mesozoic era is a very marked where dinosaurs have appeared and also disappeared. So, total 4 eras. In that first one is Paleozoic, second one is the Mesozoic. Total 4 eras are there. In that Protozoic era is the first one, second one is the Paleozoic, third one is Mesozoic, and fourth one is Cenozoic. What is that? Cenozoic. In Cenozoic, there were 2 periods are there, tertiary period and quaternary period. In tertiary and quaternary period, higher vertebrates are evolved in the tertiary period until the mammals. In quaternary period, from the mammals, eutherians, therians, placental mammals, so finally mammals and human evolution has happened in the quaternary period. So, how the chemical evolution theory explained all and dominated all over the other origin of life theories, just like that. Evidences from the physics department, nothing but of paleontology is also dominant other evidences from other branches of sciences, because all these are direct evidences. I hope you understand. In this class, what we had discussed is evidences from the different departments of the biology towards evolution. Evolution has happened said by different departments of. First of all, for this, there is a common ancestor is present. Common ancestor. This common ancestor have a stable characteristics. When a problem or calamity, maybe by the nature or by the same kind of predators, a same kind of species has come according to the natural selection, that is a struggle for existence by the competitors, nothing but intra-species or environment. Then they are implemented their characters to start the acquiring from the environment. So from the common ancestor, different species will come. So species A, species B, species C and species D. So if you think the common species is X, so unless a problem comes, the common ancestor cannot radiate. Radiate means what? They nothing but distribute. How the sun rays are distributed, that is why it's called sun radiation. Just So species are coming through the radiation after some adaptations. For this, I will give you an example. That is Darwin finches. Darwin finches. So once upon a time, the Darwin, who was the natural scientist, he went to a Galapagos Islands, which are very closer to the South America. In a beagle is a ship, what he used for the scientific research. When he met Galapagos Islands, first he observed and surprised by a dark color finch birds. They are simply called finch birds. After invention, they are called Darwin finches. So when he observed the Darwin finches, there was a beak like this. Birds are observed, they are commonly seed eaters. Seed eaters. So all these birds are having a beak like that and use it to pick up the seeds from the ground. So we have to think this is a common ancestor. Common ancestor. Whenever that is a Galapagos Island, limited resources, then definitely reproduction capacity will be generally there in the organisms. They produce the number of species over the generations. Then what will happen when prodigality increases? What comes? Competition occurs. Nothing but imbalance occurs between the food sources and the organisms. Then they have to adapt. But already they are committed to eat the seeds is the original species. Later, some species are turned to leaf eaters. Some are turned to bark eaters. Some are turned to insectivorous. Insectivorous means they eat insects. And some are turned to fruitivorous. Nothing but eating fruits. Fruitivorous. So, they are sharing their food? Not. They are turns their habit into different. So original species is seed eater, whereas the leaf eater, they have a beak like this. To catch up the leaves, beak should be sharpened so that according to their habits, beak shape is changed. It is inherited in their genes, right? Then next, if it is the bark eater, they have to pin the bark of the stem so that it will be very sharp. This is curvy beak and this is sharp beak. The sharp beak finch birds are evolved from seed eaters, original species, whereas leaf eaters, leaf eating finches also coming from seed eaters. Now if you see the fruitivorous, from the fruitivorous it should be very sharp as well as broad, so that sharp and broad beak finches are also evolved from the seed eaters. Whereas insectivorous, nothing but the non-vegetarians. Also for vegetarians, non-vegetarians, new species are also evolved. For this, there should be very sharp and powerful. Why? Because it has to pick up the meat, skin like this. Okay, so that the insectivorous, insect eating finches are evolved. So that sharp and long beak has been formed by this. So here if you see how this X provided A, B, C and D, just like that the seed eaters are provided more than 10 different types of food habits of the new species. So that is why the Darwin was shot. All are finch birds but with different beaks. Why all finches do not have the same type of beak? Because the beak of the original finches is a seed eater, but from that some adaptations happen due to the problem. So that different types of beaks having finch birds are evolved by natural selection. If they are not adapted, severe fight will happen in the same species and few will die. Understand? So this is what adaptive radiation. This adaptive radiation is divergent. Divergent adaptive radiation. Very important to understand the difference between divergent and convergent in this class. Adaptive radiations are two types: adaptive diverse, adaptive converse. Darwin finches are the best example for adaptive diverse. Why? Because they are adapted and diverted, understand, into the new species. So divergent happened because of the adaptation, but in the same area, not in different area. So that is what divergent adaptive radiation. Adaptive radiation will explain species will adopt the characters according to the changes occurs in the environment, but in the same geographical area, the new species will be formed. That is adaptive radiation. Another example for adaptive radiation I can give, that is Australian marsupials. Australian marsupials. Australian marsupials is the second example and divergent evolution or the divergent adaptive radiation. In that, what is the meaning of marsupial? Pouched mammal, just like kangaroo. So kangaroo is the national animal of Australia. The specification is it has a pouch that doesn't have a true placenta. That's why it is called prototherian. Sorry, metatherian. Understand? In the mammals, prototherians, metatherians, and eutherians will be the prototherians means egg-laying mammals, just like duckbill platypus, ornithorhynchus. Second one is pouch-having mammals. They have a pouch in that babies will be developed. So they are called marsupials, who are found in Australia first. From that, so many marsupials has been diverted by the adaptation. So that just like finch birds, Australian marsupials are also evolved in the same area by adaptations. They are divergent. So this adaptation is called adaptive divergent evolution. For the adaptive divergent radiation, two examples are there. First example is Darwin finches and second example is Australian marsupials. Then let us see what is divergent, what is adaptive convergent evolution or convergent radiation. Apart from the adaptive divergent radiation, there was adaptive convergent radiation. Let us see what is adaptive converge or adaptive converge radiation. More than one adaptive radiation, you can call it adaptive radiation, is AR, short form. So one adaptive radiation takes place in the same geographical area without any isolation. Isolation means what? No separation. That is called divergent evolution. But whereas in the convergent evolution, more than one adaptive radiation taken place that appear to have occurred in an isolated. This is so important when we call adaptive converge. So in adaptive converge, what is happening? Isolation of geographical area means different habitats. Different habitats. So different places. Whereas in the divergent evolution in the same geographical area, convergent evolution takes place in different geographical area. There also adaptive radiation takes place. Here more than one adaptive radiation takes place. If you want a better understanding, let me give you an example. So placental mammals, already I told you the example, that is a placental mammal example for adaptive radiation, that is adaptive divergent. But here also placental mammals in Australia comes under the example, but in a special case. What is that? They also exhibit adaptive radiation in evolving into the varieties of them. That is called parallel evaluation. So one is forming in a place at the same time, another one is also rising in different geographical area. Placental owl becomes Tasmanian owl. Mouse and marsupial mouse. Mole and marsupial mole. This is how different types of species are happening in two different geographical areas are isolated. Explain the mechanism of speciation. Let me take a good example. This is a limited population. In this entire, this is the population. This is a broad peak and a limited population. There were three types of mechanisms are there to evolve the new species. In that first thing, I am explaining you. First type of speciation. This is stabilizing method. In this stabilizing method, what is happening in the limited population or given population? If some problem has come, some calamity has come on the both the directions. This is the first case. In the both the directions. Suppose in the limited family, one character if you take, there's nothing but a color. If you take, Black will be there, white will be there, and intermediate also there. But all three together is called population. If you take a character height, dwarf will be there, tall will be there, medium also will be there. So that if you take any character, minimum will be there, maximum will be there, average is also will be there. So minimum, maximum, average, all three together is called one population. If a problem occurs in both the directions, means for maximum and for minimum characters, the problem has come, then what will happen? Maximum turns towards center and minimum also towards center. Then what will happen? Average character pupil will be selected by the nature and the minimum and the maximum will be eliminated. Suppose if you take the plants, so xerophytes will be there, hydrophytes will be there, as well as mesophytes will be there. So most of the plants are mesophytes, means medium water condition they require, right? Hydrophytes means they require full water. Xerophyte means even in the dry condition they can grow. So that is the least condition. Hydrophytes is the highest condition. Average condition is mesophytes. So that environment select average ones, not top ones and not bottom ones. In that case, what happened? The medium, so maximum characters are also joining into the intermediate and the minimum are also joining into the intermediate. So that intermediate pupil will be raised. So in that speciation, intermediate pupil will be selected. Then peak will be narrow peak will be appeared. Such a type of selection is called stabilizing selection. I repeat about stabilizing selection. In a population, three category of people will be there. Average will be there, best will be there, and least will be there. Means highest characters having pupils will be there, average characters having people will be there, and least characters having people will be there in all the dimensions. That may be of any property. Clear? When problem comes for maximum and minimum, maximum pupil turns into average to survive. Minimum pupil also turns into average to survive. If they are not turning into the average, minimum as well as maximum will be eliminated. That is not natural selection. So in the stabilizing type of natural selection, which type of species are selecting? Average people are selecting. So that what type of pupils are converted into average? Maximum pupils are also turning into average. Minimum pupils are also turning into average. Then in such a selection, average characters pupil number will be increased so that it gets to the peak. Understand? Such a type of selection is called stabilizing selection. This is the type 1. Let us see type 2. In the type 2, in the second type, what is happening? Disruptive selection takes place. What is disruptive selection? In the first case, problem occurs for maximum and minimum, right? But now the problem occurs for average. So the problem occurs for average. That time what happens? Some average will turn into maximum and some average will turn into minimum to survive. By adapting characters from the average to minimum or maximum, they are turning over. That time what type of peak has come? So the average people are turns towards maximum, as well as that average people sometimes turns into the minimum. So two peaks will be there. There is no average. This is called disruptive. The given population disrupted into two different types of species with two different types of characters. But here all characters are merging. Here characters are converging. Now third type. So which type of individuals are selecting in the stabilized? Average are selected. But here average is eliminated. Here who are eliminating? Maximum and minimum are eliminating. Here who are selected? Maximum and minimum are selected. These are important things in the case of questions. Now the third type is that this is called directional. Directional is third type. In this what happens? In the first case problem occurs for minimum and maximum corners, so that they come center and peak will become narrower and heighter. In second case problem comes at the center, then species comes towards the corners, nothing but maximum or minimum. Now the problem comes in one direction, either this or this one, not both the sides. That time what happened? All the species, average, minimum and maximum, all are shifted to another direction when problem is here. So minimum, average, maximum, all are selected, nothing is eliminated. So this is directional. Understand? So species formation by the nature will be three cases. One is the stabilizing, second one is the disrupting, third one is directional. In stabilizing, average ones will be selected, minimum and maximum quality people or population will be eliminated. Now, in the second case, disrupting, different, that is opposite to the stabilizing. Average peoples will be eliminated, maximum and minimal peoples will be selected. Whereas in the three, nothing is eliminated, nothing is selected. Sorry, all are selected, nothing is eliminated, all are selected, comes together corner. Suppose when food problem comes to the giraffe, all giraffes are become long necked nowadays. So today there was no short neck giraffe, long neck giraffe. All are adapted the characters, so that is a directional. Best example for the directional speciation is formation of giraffe with a long neck. So this is what the three different types of speciation. You see some typical points regarding the NCERT about evolution. The first cellular forms occurred 200 million years ago. 200 million years ago means 2 billion years ago. Mind it, in the options maybe billions or millions according to the accurate information will be there. So first cellular forms, but Earth was formed 4 billion years, nothing but 4,000 million years back. So half of the time taken for the formation of the life on the earth. Next, single cell organisms. SCO here written. Single cell organisms, nothing but cyanobacteria becomes protozoans here. Okay. So here first cellular forms means cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria is formed 2 billion years ago, but cyanobacteria gives rise to protozoans. So protozoans are formed 500 million years ago. Means how many years after Earth formation? Means 3,500 years after. So 4,000 minus 500. Questions may appear like that. Now, later jawless fishes are formed. Jawless fishes. In first year, invertebrata part, at protopodenta I discussed cyclostomes. Right? So, cyclostomata. Nothing but petromyzon, myxine, hagfish, lampreys, they are having a suctorial mouth. They used to suck the blood of the vertebrates. There are agnatha. Agnatha means what? Jawless. So that's why they are called cyclostomata. In that, two are there. Ostracodermy is there. It was become fossil and still they are living. Means they are extant group. They are cyclostomes. So cyclostomes are formed 350 million years back. At the same time, again I am repeating the point, that is 350 million years ago, early reptiles were formed. Means what is exactly telling that evolution is simultaneous of a different species. I don't think that the fishes are trying to overcome the problem from the water and comes to the land. Yes, some of them came out and later they gone back to the water. And we will see some coelacanth fishes. They are also called dipnoid fishes. They are named as lung fishes. They have a lung. So they are uncles of amphibians. They were lived in the mudland or soil without water. So from that, amphibians has come. Amphibians have survived little time on the land. Later, again, for the hatching or reproduction, they are going for water. That's why amphibians are not successful terrestrial vertebrates. But reptiles are the first successful terrestrial vertebrates. Reason they could able to give the birth on land. Even some reptiles that belongs to water, they can give the birth. They lay eggs without any disturbance. Calcareous eggs, nothing but shelled eggs, they can protect the development of the organism inside the shell on the land. That is why terrestrial successful vertebrates are reptiles. Okay. Now, next point: the seaweeds and a few plants are appeared in 320 million years ago, and dinosaurs major role here in Mesozoic era. What is that? Precambrian, not Precambrian. In Mesozoic era, Jurassic period will be there. Triassic period will be there. In that they appeared in Jurassic period, they are extinct, and later in the Cretaceous period they were completely vanished. So that dinosaurs are extinct 100 million years ago. But later suddenly they appeared few species, like so many other Tyrannosaurus, Stegosaurus, Brachiosaurus. If you observe the NCERT textbook, evolution of the pie chart has been given. Sorry, family tree of the dinosaurs has been produced. One side of a long necked Brachiosaurus will be there. One side massive had massive jaws consist of Tyrannosaurus is there. So evolution of a dinosaurs is a very clear example for the evolution history. Now, so dinosaurs suddenly appeared after that Mesozoic, but again 65 million years back they are disappeared. This is a part of reptiles. From the reptiles, one side from the extincted dinosaurs, there was the Archaeopteryx has come. Connecting links, all these are. Archaeopteryx gives rise to birds, whereas some crocodile part is there in the reptiles. From the crocodile part, some what called early mammals were linked. So prototherians, so metatherians, later mammals has come. In the they are including mammals. Later eutherians has come. In the eutherians, primates has come. In the primates, monkey, ape, gibbon, and other. How ape become human will be discussed in the next class. That is the evolution of man. Don't think that man has come from the monkey. Man has come out by the evolution of ape. Understand? That is a secret of the evolution behind the history. Now, if we discuss some part of plant evolution, okay, simultaneously the plants are also from the algae. Algae lives with the water. Out of the water, plants tried as amphibians. There are bryophytes. The bryophytes are also called amphibiate plants. Later, some seeded plants were there. There are the gymnosperms and angiosperms. Like the gymnosperms and angiosperms both are seeded. Before that, the pteridophytes were there. Pteridophytes are ferns, horsetails, mosses, everything from the bryophytes and pteridophytes has evolved. From the pteridophytes, lot of vascular tissue has been developed and seeds were developed, becomes gymnosperms. But gymnosperms cannot flower. So that flowering character seen in the modern plants, that is about angiosperms. This is how plants are also followed the evolution. So if you say some evidences from the connecting link means if you see Archaeopteryx, it is a missing link. Missing link means the difference between connecting link and missing link. I will tell you. Connecting link is an organism that have characters of two different species or two different group of organisms, but still this is living. That is called connecting link. Example, if you want connecting link, what's that? Duckbill platypus, Ornithorhynchus, that is living, but it has a character of laying egg. This is a reptile character, but it is able to produce the milk just like a mammal, so that it is a connecting link. Proterospongea, it is a connecting link between Protozoa as well as Porifera. Like that, some missing links are there. Missing link means what? An organism that have a characters of two different groups, but today it was not living. It once upon a time it was living. It was missing now. So Archaeopteryx. Archaeopteryx has the characters of both birds as well as reptiles. Just like reptiles, they have a teeth. Just like birds, they have a beak. Just like birds, they have a feathers. Just like reptiles, they have a horns. Clear? Nothing but scales. So these are connecting links, and we are going to learn about exact the path where the modern human has evolved from the apes. At the time of evolution, there were human evolution. It has happened in the Cenozoic, in the Holocene, epoch of the Quaternary period. So There were three eras are there. In that there were four eras are there. In that the latest era is Cenozoic era. In that tertiary period and quaternary period is there. In the quaternary period, Cenozoic, Holozoic epoch where human evolution is happening. So Dryopithecus and the Ramapithecus are the two. One is ape-like, another one is more man-like, are evolved from the primates. Primates are most developed mammals in that at the branch of a human evolution, two organisms are developed from the primates. One is Dryopithecus, another one is Ramapithecus. Dryopithecus is look like ape, so that more ape-like organism, whereas Ramapithecus is deviated from that and started human evolution that is more man-like. So it is about 3 to 4 million years ago. In the Bilaspur, the Dryopithecus fossils has been identified, whereas in the Sivalik hills, the Ramapithecus fossils has been identified 3 to 4 million years ago. Then over the period of time, Ramapithecus have so many characters. It is very short and the body is a bent body, it's not erected. It has canines and all. Later, the Ramapithecus becomes Australopithecus. Australopithecus, commonly called African ape man. Their fossils are found in Eastern Africa. Then its cranial capacity is 600 cc. Cc means cranial capacity. Its cranium size is 600 cubic meters. So that there was a 2 million years ago this. So they are probably ate fruits and they are also hunters and their canines were developed and their body is erecting not completely. Then they are their movement is upright movement. Later 650 to 800 cc has been developed. The cranium size is increasing over the phases of the human evolution. They are called Homo habilis. The Homo habilis is also called handyman. Why? Because they used to make some tools to hunt. They are also called hunters. Then their capacity is better than the Australopithecus. Their fossils were first found in 1891 in the Java. Java is an island where the Homo habilis fossils were found in. Later, Homo habilis gave rise to the Homo erectus. Erectus means the body has been stiffed, it is not bending, and the first meat eaters, nothing but carnivorous, non-vegetarian, the Homo erectus. The Homo erectus fossils were found in two different areas. One is at the Java man, that is called 900 cc, Homo erectus erectus subspecies, whereas another one found in the China. So this is also called China man. This is called Peking man, Homo erectus Peking man. He is having 1075 cc. He is a better cranial capacity than the Homo erectus erectus called Java man. So Java man cranial capacity is 900, whereas the China Peking man cranial capacity is 1075. Later, this Homo erectus continued as the Neanderthal man. Neanderthal man have some civilized, means road planning, house planning, as well as the streets, water channels. A lot of civilization taken place by the group hunting, as well as the colonies, having cloths, as well as buried dead bodies and burning dead bodies. So much of civilization has been developed at the time of Neanderthal man. So that happened 40,000 to 1 lakh years ago. So his cranial capacity is 400 cc. So it is called civilized man. Who is civilized man? Neanderthal man. Why? He started agriculture. He started cultivation. He started using some domestic animals. That is why. And he also started hunting grouply, and gender differentiation is started like that. Now, Neanderthal man becomes Homo sapiens. So generally we think that the modern man is Homo sapiens. No, we are subspecies of Homo sapiens. Means we are Homo sapiens sapiens. Homo sapiens are evolved 10,000 to 70,000 years back. These Homo sapiens characters are highly developed. So according to their characterization, they are divided into two things. One is a Cro-Magnon man, another one is modern man. Cro-Magnon man cranial capacity is maximum, that is 1660 cc. They are also called caveman, cave dweller. Actually, he is a cave driller. So he used to start the paintings in the cave by stones and all. He is also tool maker. Clear? Then when modern man comes, this modern man what exactly we are. So this modern man is also called agriculture man. He started agriculture. He started the computing. He started a lot of things, mathematical creations. He started the spaceships. He started the traveling as an interstellar and a lot of things. So the modern man is going on. So that we are Homo sapiens sapiens. So Homo sapiens sapiens are modern, and Cro-Magnon is not modern. Cro-Magnon is a cave dweller, and cave dweller cranial capacity is 1660. That is the highest cranial capacity. Highest cranial capacity can be seen in Cro-Magnon. Let me recap. So human evolution is started. Dryopithecus to Ramapithecus. Dryopithecus is more ape-like. Ramapithecus is more man-like. From the Ramapithecus, Australopithecus. Australopithecus to Homo habilis. Homo habilis is called handyman. Then Homo habilis is not so erected, not fully erected. Homo habilis continued as an erected man, that is called Homo erectus. Now Homo erectus, Java man and Peking man. Peking man found in China. Next, Homo erectus continued as Neanderthal man, is called civilized man. Civilized man become Homo sapiens in the Cro-Magnon and modern man. This is how the modern man is evolved by lots of steps. Simultaneously to the man, horse is also evolved with lots of features. Earlier horse is just like a size of a dog. Later today if you see the horse, it's the modern horse. Equus. This equus is also evolved by a lot of changes in the forelimbs, teeth as well as their toes.